Good Monday evening, folks. Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandajis here with you as we continue to track some storms that are strong to severe, slowly progressing across the area, all instigated by a boundary that was pretty much activated by the daytime heating today. We got temperatures in the upper 70s and low 80s, but it's that high moisture content, those dew points that you felt with the higher humidity today that kind of helped these storms to get to the severe criteria in many circumstances. Here's a look at live radar. We've got several severe thunderstorm warnings that are up. We'll start to the south and then work our way to the north. One here near the Edenton area. This cell we've been tracking for hours now. It originally had a tornado warning on it, and it crawled pretty much to the north and east. It was only moving, let's put over a 3-hour loop. It's been pretty much hovering there for the last 3 hours, and it was moving to the northeast at 10 miles per hour. And it was downgraded to just a severe thunderstorm warning, and now that warning itself was allowed to expire. So now below severe criteria near the Edenton area with a heavy downpour right over the downtown area. But we slide a little bit farther to the north and west here. A pretty large-scale severe thunderstorm warning is up for portions of Hertford, Bertie, and Northampton in North Carolina. The shape of this polygon warning here is indicative of the threat, and that is going to be for some straight line gusty winds. You can see how pronounced it is, how large it is along the Boeing line of storms that are lifting to the north and east. This particular cell is moving. Let's see how quickly this one is moving. 6 miles, moving at 30 miles per hour. So it is moving a little bit faster than before, but this severe thunderstorm warning for winds in excess of 60 miles per hour and quarter-size hail is up for another 14 minutes until 7 o'clock this evening. A lot of these cells have been producing some rather large hail, and you can see the signature on this particular storm. There's a couple hail cores, out in the far western portions of Bertie, but they're rather small in the form of how large the hail is that is reaching the ground. Probably maybe pea-sized or penny-sized if you get some of the larger hail in there. So that's not so much of a concern right now. I would say it's probably more so going to be some gusty winds. And radar is progging 40 to 45 to 50 mile per hour winds indicated by radar. So that's the highest threat here, and Weather Service saying that there could be a 60 mile per hour wind gusts in this cell as it is lifting on off towards the north and east. So it's eventually heading into Hertford. It's far southwestern portions of Hertford right now, but towards Murfreesboro, then eventually into Southampton in Virginia and over into Suffolk and Isle of Wight if this does hold together. So that's off to the south. Now to the north, we've got a whole line of some stronger cells. The most recent addition is this cell here that's pretty much along the line of Sussex and Southampton. I'll put it on the most recent run here. We're looking at gusty winds in this cell. Let's see what the Weather Service is saying about this cell. This is up until 7:30, this severe thunderstorm cell. And this one is moving northeast at 20 miles per hour. And it has had a history of producing gusty winds and penny-sized hail. That has all been radar indicated, though, with no ground confirmation. So it's moving to the northeast at 20. Let's put a storm track on it for you now because it is going to be working into portions of Surrey County as well as portions of Isle of Wight if it does hold together. But there it is moving off towards the northeast. You can see the cities and towns that are listed there. Wakefield at 7:05, Dendron at 7:23, Surrey at 7:48. So an hour lead time for downtown Surrey for this storm to make it in your direction with some very heavy rainfall, gusty winds. And let's see what the hail, I don't even see any hail indicated by radar for this particular cell, though. We are getting some gusty winds. Radar not even picking up on very much, not much strong winds there at all. So we're looking at very heavy rain at this time and probably a weakening cell. Now it is moving in the wake of these other cells, which if I go back here, let's go back 5 hours and show you that that area has pretty much been tapped for the available energy. So you see the line that's really flaring up. In fact, I'm going to stop here at 5:10 because take a look at the lightning counter in the top right under the time. 324 lightning strikes at this moment in time that is compiled over a 15-minute window. 324 strikes. Okay, so let's jump forward to an hour later. We're up to 481 strikes, and most of that is to the north here, and this cell that's due east of Richmond. And then let's go up to currently. Still at 442. Most of that is to the north, which we're going to get to in a second. But this particular cell here is clocking 61 strikes in the last 15 minutes, and this has been in a a downtrend in terms of its intensity. So it is weakening as it's lifting off towards the north. As it makes it in towards Surrey, we'll probably see a drastically weaker cell there. In fact, the Weather Service here, there we go. Let's see how they're doing that. Thunderstorm warning, Surrey. This is up till 7:30 tonight, moving to the northeast at 20. So that's the one that we just put the storm track on. All right, let's move a little farther to the north. So something else that you want to take notice of is those green polygons that are showing up. With these cells having so much moisture to work with, we're seeing extremely intense rainfall rates. So let's look at some of these rainfall totals here over the last couple of hours. And you're looking at some very pronounced totals here. So just to near Quinton, or along I-64 there, 4 inches of rain has fallen. You cross the James and you get over 2.2 inches just to the east of Petersburg, 2.25 or so. So a lot of heavy rain here. So that has prompted several flash flood warnings to be issued here. So you can see those. These are usually issued for a longer time window. This one is up until 8 o'clock tonight for Charles City, Henrico, New Kent, and Prince George. If there was confirmed flash flooding, it would indicate that, but these are just radar indicated because of the amount of rain that has happened. Another one including the city of Richmond and over towards Chesterfield County and Henrico and down into Petersburg as well. This one is up for just a little while longer, 9 more minutes for Chesterfield, Dinwiddie, Prince George, as well as Colonial Heights, Hopewell, and Petersburg, for just the amount of rain that has come on down, has been squeezed out of the atmosphere by these storms. All right, let's jump to the north now, because this is the most intense cell currently on the board that is impacting our far northern cities and counties. I mean, just outside of the 13 News Now viewing area. So here's the warning criteria on this. This is until 7:15 for another over 20 minutes or so for this severe thunderstorm warning. Essex, King William, King and Queen, Lancaster, Middlesex, Northumberland, Richmond, and Westmoreland counties. That's a very large cell. You can see the lightning count on this when I take this away. 409 strikes just within that severe thunderstorm warning over the last 15 minutes. And you notice that this polygon has a red hue to it, and that is a tag that's given out by the Weather Service when there is the possibility of seeing a tornado. And if we kind of diagnose and take like kind of an X-ray of the cell itself, or a CAT scan, if you will, we're looking for anything that looks to be a little bit of a spin in the atmosphere here. And you do see kind of something here that just looks to be a little bit too broad right now. When you see the correlating colors here that are kind of opposite of each other, that's winds moving in different directions, we know that the cell itself is rotating. So if you kind of see that overlaid with that, you can see that the cell is rotating. In fact, if I kind of take a view of this, we're looking at the cell rotating a bit. It's very broad and very disorganized, but there was a tornado warning put on this part of the cell just a little while ago. They did allow it to expire as the circulation kind of broadened and dissipated, but that's why they still have that tag on it as a tornado possible within here. In terms of any hail, there is a small hail signature here north of Jamaica, near Montague and Center Cross along 17 there. And you know, size of this, 3/4 of an inch. So you're looking at just under a quarter-sized hail. Quarter-sized hail is typically around an inch in diameter. So we're a little bit below that. Is it reaching the ground that big? Too early to tell, really. But certainly some extremely heavy rainfall there. And also a kind of trick that we use when we look at this. Let me see if I can find it on here. Let's see. I think we could do this. Nope, that wasn't what I was looking for. So usually we can, I know I have it on here. Let's see if I can find it. Cloud tops. There we go. Okay. So when we kind of we can query on radar the rainfall intensity. And sometimes if we get an extraordinarily high amount, so that just right there indicated 4.88 inches. Okay, so that's not terribly high, but if we kind of move around here, and if we were to find something that was like 6 or 7 inches per hour, that's extraordinarily high and uncommon to find here. In a tropical climate, more so maybe, but that is usually an indicator when they're high above 5-6 inches per hour. That is the radar kind of confusing intense rainfall for hail. So that's one way we can kind of look to determine if there's actually hail within a cell or not. Aside from our hail product that can depict that through radar, that's another way to kind of find out. But that's our last severe thunderstorm warning there. Down to the south, we can have these two. We're still ongoing for another 5 minutes. I think this one is up until 7 o'clock, let's see, until 7:30 on this cell. And I haven't seen anything come out. Which one, number T? Okay, that one cell. They haven't given any updates to this cell yet, so that's going to be ongoing as this one lifts to the northeast at 20 miles per hour. So eventually may become a little bit of an issue for Surrey County if it does hold together. We are about an hour out from sunset this evening, which is at 7:57. So a lot of this, let me just show you the bigger picture here. So the bigger picture here, you can see off to the west over Illinois and Indiana, portions of Kentucky, that large spin in the atmosphere. That is an upper level feature, an upper level area of low pressure. That's getting kind of hung up in the upper level winds. It's got nowhere really to go. It's almost stagnant. This is a cutoff low developing, and what this tends to do is anywhere in its general vicinity creates an unsettled environment. And so that's what we're seeing now. It's dragging through a stationary boundary that's turning into somewhat of a cold front as it's moving to the northeast now, but it's not really bringing any cooler air. It's an occluded front almost. There's not really a cool air mass building in behind it. So it's actually transporting in even more humidity that we will feel across the area tomorrow. But when you get one of those stationary boundaries attached to a decaying or an upper level low feature, a lot of times they are benign during the overnight hours and they get activated with the daytime heating. So what we saw is as we go back, let's go back 12 hours on this, okay? So here we are at sunrise this morning, and notice that there is nothing, no line of storms at all, okay? So if we progress, we go through the day, we start to see that boundary activate. Watch what the storms beginning to pop up in central North Carolina and Raleigh. You see that? That's the initialization there around midday. So the daytime heating, sun's at its strongest point. We're getting that destabilization in the lower levels, and it's beginning to lift as convection. And it's verifying there with storms. And you see that whole boundary begin to move, has mainly a south to north trajectory. And then it starts to move a little bit farther to the east, and it's a slow mover. We saw storm movement at 10 miles per hour. Very slow for thunderstorms to be moving. So that prompted the flash flooding risk. And then you fast forward to now, and you have a line of storms that's beginning to decay because we are approaching sunset. And what you'll see after sunset, especially within the first hour after the sun goes down, these storms will quickly lose their oomph. It's like, think of it this way. You have a pot of very hot water close to boiling. The sun comes up, and that's like turning the burner on the stove on. So it's on, and then it brings that water to a boil. The sun's up, it's boiling, and then the sun sets, you turn the burner off. That water quickly stops boiling, and the temperature continues to drop. So that's like the atmosphere bubbling up from the burner being on the stove, the sun being up. And then once that sun sets, the stove gets turned off, and we start to see the activity really begin to fall apart. And I kind of want to show you how the models are seeing this, because it's telling that story pretty much. So a little bit overdone in the initialization. So when I mean initialization, that's the computer model taking a snapshot of what the environment looks like at the time it's run. So, I mean, it's not too far off. We just don't have a very pronounced squall line like it's showing there, but it kind of tells the same story, okay? Jumping ahead just an hour from now, 8 o'clock, the line does push east-northeast, but notice it becomes fragmented, especially the southern half really starts to fall apart. The strongest part of the line now, which is to the north, hangs on a little while longer as it's north of Gloucester and moving into southern portions of Maryland, but by 11 o'clock, we are completely void of any thunderstorm activity because it just dies down. There's nothing to support it. That front begins to go into another benign phase where it almost remains dormant in the overnight hours before it can initialize again tomorrow. But at that point, it'll be out of our area into the north and east, so it may pose a threat farther north. So that shows that. And really tomorrow, we'll just go through Tuesday really quick. Sun up tomorrow, we should be mostly sunny. Maybe some areas that saw the rain could have a little fog. That's also in the cards there for tomorrow. But that would be about it. Most of the day tomorrow will be a mostly sunny day, and temperatures getting into the upper 70s to low 80s, so that's not bad at all. Back over to radar now. So here's an update on this cell. This is interesting. So this cell now They've dropped the severe thunderstorm warning and have issued another severe thunderstorm warning. This one here, let me read the, for Southampton in North Carolina, Southampton, Virginia, Gates, North Carolina, Hertford, Bertie, and Northampton in North Carolina. This severe thunderstorm warning has the tag on it, the red hue, meaning that there is a tornado possible for this particular severe thunderstorm warning that is up for 30 minutes until 7:30 tonight. Let's diagnose and see if there's anything in this. Yeah, I would say there's probably a pretty good indication that this storm is tightening up. Check out this here. So when we're starting to get a couplet forming, it's kind of broad right now, but this is the area right here that's probably starting to pinch off a little bit and indicate that there's a possibility of this becoming a tornado-warned cell. That's very interesting. We're going to have to watch that very closely. Weather Service could be very close to putting up a tornado warning. Hey, Paige, are you back there? So if we do get this warning to pop up, we're going to go over to on air. And we'll dual stream and do an on-air cut-in as well if it does go to a tornado warning, which could happen here in the short term as we're watching this couplet here near Lassiter Crossroads. This is in portions of Northampton in North Carolina, near Lassiter Crossroads, Creeksville. That's starting to show the beginning stages of some sort of broad rotation here. That would be lifting to the north and east, close to Milwaukee and Creeksville. I don't see anything that indicates that there is a potential tornado there right now, but that is certainly something to watch. You can see that whole cell. You can kind of see that it's moving. In fact, let me draw this a little bit better. You can kind of see what I'm talking about. We got like a inflow there. Let me see what just came out here. Nope. Okay. Let's see. So yeah, we'll be watching this. So it's got the tag for a tornado possible in Northampton in North Carolina and pretty much right on the Hertford line. You are under this Hertford as well, and even southern portions of Southampton in Virginia for the possibility here. In terms of any hail, not so much concern anymore. It's really going to be the possibility that this could get a tornado warning on it near Lassiter Crossroads in just a short while. We'll see if that tightens up, if the next update of this on radar data comes in and it does tighten up. I wouldn't doubt Weather Service does throw a warning on this. But for now, it is a severe thunderstorm warned cell with a tornado possible tag on it. Right now, that looks to be the only warning in our area. They have canceled the warning here that was moving through Sussex and over towards Surrey. You can see that really fell apart. It's moving over the radar site in Wakefield now, just some gusty showers at this moment. So that tells you right there also where this cell that's to the south, this one here where that's going to be moving, let me get my little pointer here, where this one is going to be moving to the north, that atmosphere is already tapped out. So this one here, if it does briefly strengthen and have a tornado warning on it, it's moving into an environment that has already stabilized. So that's an indicator right there. With that cell that has just weakened so much, we're already seeing that atmosphere out ahead of it stabilize. So that's meaning that this environment is not suitable for a severe thunderstorm to build and get more intense. It's probably in its last leg over here. If it does get that warning on it here, a tornado warning in just a few minutes, that would be it. After it crosses the state line, it's going to move into an environment that's a little bit more stable at this time. But you can see this cell, and if I leave it on here for just a couple of minutes and we kind of get a feel for the electrical component of the storm in terms of lightning. So you see the lightning strikes up there in the top right, 139 strikes on this cell over the last 15 minutes. If we watch it for a little while and see which way that number fluctuates, if it goes up, that's usually an indicator that the cell is intensifying. If it slowly ticks downwards, we're seeing a weakening cycle play out with this particular cell. All right, I saw new data just get drawn on the maps there. Yeah, we are definitely getting a brightening signature here north of Rich Square. This is in Northampton County in North Carolina. This particular couplet here is trying to really consolidate and tighten up, and this could be a precursor to a tornado warning being issued for that area here in just a short while. So that's interesting right over Lasker. Some of the winds here being indicated by radar. Close to 60 miles per hour. Near Creeksville, 55 miles per hour. So that's very interesting. You can see that couplet tightening up there near Creeksville, between pretty much over Dusty Hill Road This is in Northampton County in North Carolina, okay? Creeksville, Jenkins Mill Road, Dusty Hill Road. Starting to see that possibly tighten on up and be the precursor to a tornado warning being issued by the National Weather Service. We'll wait on that and see what they say. If they're going to pull the trigger on it or not, probably need a little bit more data to come in to quantify adding that tornado warning, but that's probably next up, folks. So if you're joining us on streaming, if that tornado warning does pop, we will pause for a moment, jump over to our TV side while concurrently streaming and go into coverage of this tornado warning across the area and parts of the area. So that's going to be what comes up next if, in fact, we do see a tornado warning come out of there. But that's the cell we're going to be watching most. That's really the only cell that's currently left across the area. While we wait on that and see what develops out of that, we still have temperatures across the area that are warm. You can kind of see the boundary that is set up across the area. 71 out of Chesapeake, but 64 at Wakefield, 67 down to Ahoskie. But look at these dew points. We've got dews that are 70s out at Edenton, in the mid-60s everywhere else. You know, for early May, that's pretty high. And with it not being too far from the air temperature, we've got what we call low dew point depressions. The difference between the dew point and the air temperature is rather low, so the atmosphere is quite moist and you can call almost juiced up. It's got a lot of energy available, and a lot of that's been initiated or activated by the daytime heating out there. So we still have this one cell that's taking advantage of just a small area that's probably still conducive to support severe weather and is slowly moving to the north. In fact, let's look and see how fast that is moving. That one is moving to the northeast at 40 miles per hour. So that's the fastest moving cell that we have seen so far today. And with it being kind of almost a line, we're going to put a squall line signature on this at 40 to give you a general feel for where it's moving and when it will be arriving. So there we go, moving in that direction. And you can kind of see that there are cities and towns listed. Severn at 710, Franklin at 753, Carsville at 742, and Windsor at 755, with this moving northeast at around 40 miles per hour. So severe thunderstorm warning for this area. That is up until 7:30 for Bertie, Gates, Hertford, Northampton in North Carolina, and Southampton in Virginia as we cross the state line there for another 23 minutes. We're really watching this because we're interested to see. We've got a pretty good indicator that there is certainly spin. There's tightening of this spin right over this area. When you see the Creeksville area, when you've got the greens and blues there, those are winds moving in opposite directions. So the red is going to be winds moving away from the radar site in Wakefield, the green heading towards. So when you get that to tighten up like that, that's basically the atmosphere spinning, consolidating, deepening, tightening on up, and potentially putting down a funnel cloud into a tornado potentially in this cell here near, moving towards Conway, Milwaukee, and eventually towards Pendleton as well. So we've got no warning on it well, we've got a severe thunderstorm warning on it right now, but no tornado warning at the moment. We'll see if Wakefield does pull the trigger on this cell. I haven't seen any update that they are even monitoring it, but we'll see if that does come out here pretty soon. But for right now, it's just a severe thunderstorm warning with that red hue on it. That is a tornado possible tag on it. In fact, let me read the brief from the Weather Service to you. Let's see. Hazard here is 60 mile per hour wind gusts, quarter size hail. The source of this, so there's been no ground confirmation of winds gusting that high. This is all radar data indicating that the storm could support gusts that high. Minor damage to vehicles is possible, wind damage to trees and power lines. And then at the bottom here lists the threats. Hail threat is radar indicated, max hail about an inch in diameter, so quarter size hail possible. Even though as we go to our hail product, the hail is now completely irrelevant for this cell. So it's mainly going to be a gusty wind and possibly even a tornado threat. So the threat for a tornado here is possible. And radar indicated winds to 60 miles per hour a possibility. Let's see if we got new data. No, still looking quite ominous over here in eastern portions of Northampton County in North Carolina, near Milwaukee area. Very gusty winds. Let's see what some wind speeds are here. 55, 50 miles per hour. 45 to 60 miles per hour, a good bet being a possibility. So the wind threat already verifying in this area here, I would just be concerned over what may be happening over the Creeksville area if there is, in fact, the storm. You can the radar looks like it has an inflow notch coming in there from the southwest. So there could certainly be something trying to get its act together and consolidate there. So that's going to be what we really monitor here as this moves towards Boykins, the state line, crossing into Virginia, eventually into Southampton County in Virginia, coming out of Northampton County in North Carolina over the coming minutes or so. It is moving pretty quickly at 40 miles per hour. But as I just mentioned a couple minutes ago, we had a cell here, this one here over Carsley that moved over Wakefield pretty much. That was warned as a severe thunderstorm warning just 15 minutes ago. And as it lifted northeast, it's moving into an environment that's already been worked over. So the energy has been used up. And since we're less than an hour away from sunset, there's not much more replenishment going on. So that has died off significantly. This cell will probably follow suit as it lifts into Southampton. What it does before it gets there, though, is the big question, because we do have that radar indication that there is certainly some spin, but it's just too broad at the moment right now. That's probably what they're waiting on. It just looks too broad. We would need to see this a little bit smaller to probably prompt a tornado warning to be issued from our Wakefield National Weather Service office. So that's what we're watching out near Conway, Milwaukee, Creeksville, in Northampton County in North Carolina. You can see it kind of highlighted there. Even down to the south here, these two cells have got some spin on them too, but there's not even a warning on these yet. But there just must be a pocket of some spin in the upper levels here that's prompting these to rotate. So we'll have to watch all of these as they lift north. But again, what's helping us out to limit our severe potential going forward is the sunset arriving very soon. So we'll see that really start to kind of put the kibosh on these storms strengthening anymore. Still nothing from the Weather Service here on this cell. Just still a prompt with a tornado possible. It is under a warning for another 18 minutes until 7:30. So they'll be making up their mind if they want to continue this warning, upgrade it to a potential tornado warning with that couplet that we've been monitoring, or just let it expire if it does significantly weaken as it begins to cross over the state line there, moving northeast at 40 miles per hour. Let's put another storm track on this for you. Let's see. Squall. Franklin coming your way at 7:34, so you got about 22-minute lead time for you if it does hold together. Cortland at 7:35, Windsor at 7:54, Central Hill at 8:04 tonight, and Boykins coming up on you at 7:17, so 5-minute lead time. It's already storming over you right now, probably still pretty windy as well. This is a very ragged-looking cluster of storms with one it does have some rotation in it right here. Near just north of Lassiter Crossroads. That's what we're going to be watching very closely as we go on to the next 30 minutes probably. See what that does. Now to the north, while we wait on that, to the north we still have this one cell. It's outside of the viewing area here, but it is northeast of Richmond. And this cell has been probably the strongest cell all night. It had, I think, dual tornado warnings earlier, one like at 5, and then it just had another one at 6. It is weakening. You can tell it's weakening for sure. And even over the last 3 hours, watch it play out here. It was really strong as it was pretty much just to the east of Richmond International Airport. And now it's moving up towards Tappahannock, and it is very strong with gusty winds, lots of lightning. But the hail signature has really gone away, and it still probably has some indications of some rotation. I don't even see any of that. It's very broad, if anything at all. So that cell is on its weakening trend as well. It's just what's this one going to do here? That's to the south in Northampton, North Carolina, Hertford, and now crossing the state line and moving towards Franklin and Southampton County. So this cell right here, very gusty winds already indicated by radar. We do have a very broad rotating cell there, and some wind speeds near Murfreesboro. Radar indicated up to 50 miles per hour, perhaps as high as 60. So that's the main line. Everything else, check out here the rest of the line. Playing it out over the last 3 hours. We're going to see the activation of this front really dissipate over the next hour as we approach and surpass sunset. As I had been mentioning, it's triggered by the sun, the heating of the day. So that's really going to die out once the sun goes down. Let's look at lightning strikes in this line here. Get a feel for that. We're at 177. I'm trying to recall. I think we were at like 191 when we last checked, so it has been downtrending a little bit, indicating it is weakening slowly, which is expected as it lifts to the state line and beyond, as that part of the atmosphere is pretty worked over from earlier. And also, even though storms didn't particularly move through that area, when they start to collapse after they mature, they collapse and a strong downdraft develops and an outflow boundary. But pretty much that downdraft hits the ground and spreads out in all directions. And it works to significantly cool the air as well as stabilize it. But the leading edge of that outflow boundary sometimes can act as a secondary trigger for more storms. And sometimes we can even pick it up on radar because it does tend to loft a lot of small debris into the air, like leaves and twigs and stuff like that, just with those strong winds, so it can show up on radar a little bit easier. Didn't see that tonight, which is interesting because we know the downdraft was probably pretty decent with the hail signatures we were seeing on some of these cells. Meaning the corresponding updrafts were probably just as strong. But we'll see what happens with this. Check on the, I mean, you can see it's very broad. It is covering a large area, okay? So you've got winds moving towards the radar site in the green here near Conway, so that's moving north. And then you've got the red that's now a little bit not as strong as it was before, not as bright red. It's moving away to the south and southwest, away from the radar site in Wakefield. But it's very broad over the Conway area. And some of these winds over Conway, you notice they're coming down each time we query those numbers. Let's see if we can get some more. 51. So we're looking at between 40 and 50 mile per hour winds indicated by radar here out near Conway within this kind of overall broad spin. And I'll tell you now, it looks even less organized. So it could already be interacting with a more stable air mass to the northeast there. Cell itself not looking all that ominous anymore. Let's look at lightning strikes. Let me try to get to where we were. We're now down to around 122 strikes, which I think that's probably a different image. I think probably there was right. So we're around a 165, which is still a lower number than it was earlier. So generally, these are starting to weaken a little bit as they lift to the northeast. But this is the last lone warning. You can see that one northeast of Richmond they've already canceled as well. So this is the last warning that is up for our area, and it does include portions of Bertie, Hertford, over to the Reynoldson area, over into Northampton in North Carolina, Southampton, southern portion, no, not quite to Franklin yet, and may even clip far southwestern Suffolk with this warning there. But that looks to be about it so far. And even you got the far western portions of Gates as well. Boykins area getting a lot of lightning and thunder for you. Rainfall in these areas, approaching and surpassing 2 to 3 inches. 1 to 3 inches generally has fallen in these areas within the last couple of hours. So a lot of rain for sure. And they were slow moving for the most part, so that just kind of enhanced the amount of rainfall we were seeing produced by these cells. Big cluster of storms here up northeast of Richmond. Now, Richmond in the clear. Even the flash flood warnings were canceled early, meaning that there was no ground truth of any flash flooding ongoing. It was just that it hit the criteria for possibly causing flash flooding. Looks like that didn't happen, which is why the warning is no longer up for the city of Richmond. Still exists, though, out by the airport, close to the airport, not really on the airport, and just to the east of there along I-64. Could be some high water spots. We still have some strong cells up north of Saluda, Gloucester, and Matthews, but just this one lone cell that is up here for another 11 minutes at 7:30. So what we'll do is we will plan to stay on here for another 11 minutes until that warning is either altered. Oh, looks like they just canceled it. Let's see. They canceled the severe thunderstorm warning. Okay. The threat for severe weather is now, looks like it has come to an end, at least caused by this cell here. And as we get closer to sunset this evening, this will likely just dissipate further. So if you're farther to the east, you're wondering, well, where is the rain? This whole thing is so slow moving. Let's go back to the bigger picture here and just show you this is a 6-hour loop, okay? And let me draw on the boundary that's causing all of this. Here, it's pretty much right there, okay? We're drawing it on as a stationary front because it's just moving too slow to be considered really a cold front or a warm front, and it's not really ushering in a different type of air mass. But it is enough, and it's rather weak too. It is enough to get activated by the daytime heating, right? So a lot of times we need, if we have a hot, humid day, we can have a hot, humid day where there are no thunderstorms, right? Sometimes there are just what we call air mass thunderstorms, where it's just so hot, so humid that the daytime heating itself initiates thunderstorms. Heating wasn't that strong today. We needed a trigger to kind of supplement that lift. And we got that with a stationary boundary that's slowly moving east. And as we got the daytime heating to really get underway, we saw the lifting happen, that enhanced lifting from that frontal boundary, causing this line of storms to really develop and then focus along that boundary, because on either side of it, the atmosphere wasn't all that conducive to strong storms. You needed that trigger with this go around, and that's where you're going to find the storms going forward. And then once the sun sets, then we'll see that line really deactivate and fall apart and just be some lingering showers as it pushes off to the east and closer to the coastline. So we do have, and that also brings me to show you why we have the severe thunderstorm warning, that's up for all areas farther west. Notice how it's cut off at the Suffolk-Chesapeake line, because east of there, very, very low chances of anything strong or severe lasting, and moving from the west east into that area, because the area will be stable. It's areas closer where that boundary is set up, closer to I-95, where we saw the severe weather today, and where we will continue to see, at least for another hour or two maybe, of the potential of some stronger storms still developing. Although I told you, once the sun goes down, I think that threat drops off very, very fast. But here's one last look at radar. We've just got a few heavy downpours and thunder and lightning. Everything right now looks to be below severe criteria. And in fact, our little cluster here that we were watching is still a couplet, right? It's just very broad. It's not as intense as it was earlier. And if we look at some of the wind speeds near Pendleton, we're clocking maximum wind gusts maybe approaching 50, which is below severe criteria. So that's probably another reason why they have, canceled the severe thunderstorm warning there, because the wind gusts that they were seeing as well just weren't quite up to that level that would warrant the continuation of the severe thunderstorm warning for that area. So with that note, I will conclude our stream here. We will still have the risk for some showers and thunderstorms, gusty downpours for the next few hours. But again, after the sun goes down, these storms will really start to fall apart. We are continuously streaming our radar on our 13 News Now Plus site or app, as you know, because you are joining us right there right now. We also have a Weather Impact 24/7 stream that has a continuous loop of all of our graphics that'll keep you up to date on the weather going on and for the future, has our forecast in there as well. So that is always up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So you can always have access to that. If it warrants, I'll jump on here again for another stream later on this evening. But if not, just be on the lookout as we go through the next few hours of the first half of the overnight of the potential of some showers and gusty downpours with some lightning and thunder, especially in our western cities and counties. Enjoy the rest of your evening.